Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Tiana here once again, and I am back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario Party 4 for the Nintendo GameCube. So last time, ever since yesterday actually, we have managed to able to win through the minigame mode by showing you guys not only in terms of that one particular minigame we're missing on, which is of course Panels of Doom, thanks to the forms of Bowser's Nelly Party that we haven't showcased yet, and also we did manage to play through some of these story mode minigames here and now too. Even though despite the fact that we got a draw on the first minigame, and also I somehow managed to lost on that luck-based minigame, which is of course Goomba's Flip, chip flips and stuff like that, or flip chip, whatever you want to specifically call it. But either way though, aside from all that stuff though, that's pretty much how that goes. So today, for this particular point on Sunday, which today's day is of course the 16th of May today, in this case in 2021, meaning that we're pretty much at the halfway point in this whole month already on May. So in this case though, for today, especially noticeable until next Saturday, we're going to be hit onto the forms of the extra room. So this has been hosted by not only Whomp, but also Whomp as well as the star at the top as you can see on screen. And yeah, we'll discuss on that later. So we have ourselves Whomp's Backroom Ball, which basically not only does it able to give you ourselves 2 extra mini games that was not found in party mode, but also we get ourselves 2 other boards here now as well as Whomp's Basement Brouhaha kind of, you know, mode. So in this case though, for that particular mode, it's actually mainly focusing on single-player mini-games. And as far as this star, as far as I'm concerned, we'll discuss on that until whenever we get on to next, you know, Saturday, as I said before. So in this case though, we're focusing on, yeah, let's focus on this first. Because of this though, we just want to get the single-player, mini-games, you know, just trying to showcase those first. And, yeah, that's as far as I can say. I do apologize if the actual commentary gets a little bit more, you know, GBs and all that stuff though, but I do apologize for that. So anyways, let's pick Yoshi for this, and we actually got ourselves 6 mini-games we can play through. We have Jigsaw Jitters and Barrel Baron, Mushroom Medic, Doors of Doom, Bob-Omb X-In, and Goomba Stomp, and we'll show all of these basically. So even then though, starting with of course from the bottom, or no, sorry, top to bottom. So to begin with, let's go on to Jigsaw Jitters. So in this case, it's to be more specifically, remember the forms of photo finish? Well, this is exactly what this minigame is all about. Put the scrambled pieces of the puzzle together to form a picture. Then before you dive right in, there are 3 different difficulties, or 3 different levels. There's 20 pieces, 30 pieces, and 40 pieces. I'm actually going to show all 3 of these basically, because obviously since I'm still a YouTube partnership after all, and as a result I was able to show all 3 of those jigsaw puzzle pieces during the sake of this particular, you know, the whole thing. So obviously we'll begin with is of course 20 pieces, which is to be more specifically the easy difficulty as far as, you know, Jigsaw Jitters as far as I'm concerned for this minigame. And obviously as I said this earlier, is the fact that this is basically photo finish, except the fact that you're gonna have to fill up the entire puzzle all by yourself. So, and while you're at it, you're actually going to have to deal with the actual timer. Now here's the catch though, is that if you really want to 100% everything in Mario Party 4, well, here's the thing though, is the fact that if you really want to get one of those minigame present in a minigame, oh no, sorry, the present room I should say, you have to beat this, you know, Jigsaw Jitterer minigame, whatever you to be more specific you want to call it. Basically you have to beat it in a certain amount of time. To be more specifically, for example, on 20 pieces, is that you have to beat this entire puzzle for under a minute. Like as you can see on screen, I've managed to accomplish it. So if you do manage to accomplish that, then sure enough you would able to get yourselves your another one of those presents on your minigame room from the likes of the present room, which I'll show that off during at some point until next Sunday or something like that, along with the actual final few things. Although, there's also some other bits I was missing on. Oh wow, we got ourselves the Puzzle Peacemaker. That's actually pretty swell. yeah, every time when you finish those minigames like this, sometimes Whomp will able to give you the actual rankings depending on how fast you do, for the sake of the actual Jigsaw Jitters minigame, as you can see. And whenever we move on to the forms of the next couple of minigames later, basically it's going to be scored based. So, well, few of them, mind you, and then some of them are time based. So, yeah, let's move on to the forms of the next level, which is, of course, Puzzle Segment 2, which this time we need to fill in 30 pieces. And I believe in order to be able to get the present on that specific challenge, is that you have to beat this for under 2 minutes, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, it's not too noticeable, and I honestly think that it doesn't feel that much complicated for me, though. It's pretty simple for the most part, as long as you do need to memorize which one of those pieces are specifically needs to be placed. So in this case, though, is the fact that when you're trying to get the hang of it, though, it's actually not too bad, honestly. Even though, here's the catch, though, is the fact that some of these mini-games, mainly with the forms of some of these mini-games from the extra room, well, there's actually 4 unlockable mini-games that it does require that if you manage to play some of these mini-games for the first time. Like, for example, that Jigsaw Jitters is one of those unlockable mini-games, and to unlock that, it's pretty simple. You're gonna have to be able to play Photo Finish, and that's pretty much about it. And there's also, same applies to the forms of Goomba Stomp, which I'll get to that until later on throughout this video. So in this case, though, I really do like the actual images. They do manage to able to do things a little bit differently, depending on which difficulty you're gonna go for. Like, obviously, for the 20 pieces mode, basically, it contains a picture of, well, obviously, all 8 of the main playable characters are chilling out in a grassy field and stuff like that. And then as far as the forms of the 30 pieces puzzle, as you can see, that all 8 of those characters are actually managed to able to traverse around the entire planet Earth, which is pretty cool actually, because it's especially noticeable that I couldn't imagine of how the fact that I would like to actually have ourselves a desktop like this, even though there might be few of those desktops out there. But even then, I would like to able to have one of these. But anyway, and as you can see, I managed to beat it for under 2 minutes, so this means I pretty much accomplished the forms of that specific present requirement, for the sake of the forms of the present room, which again, I'll show that off and join at some point by, you know, next Sunday or something. So, and let's see what ranking I got is Puzzle Panoa, which I do apologize for that mispronunciation for that letter. So I must admit that I do apologize for that. So, and I think we should probably do one more puzzle from now on, which appears to be not only is one of the longest ones, but it's also kind of tricky when you get the hang of it. So, here we go, onto 40 pieces. And what picture image we're actually going to be going through this time? Well, as you can see, we still have the main usual 8 playable characters, but except now, I believe they're on the rainbow, and then basically they're staring at the actual superstar itself. So even then though, definitely a little bit harder than the forms of how it does on the other 2 puzzle pieces for sure, but I can honestly try to able to actually complete those specific stuff within no sweat, as long as I do need to memorize the actual you know, with the actual outlines of what these pieces are about to be placed. So, yeah, for the most part, it's not too bad though, honestly. So, even then though, and in order to be able to actually get the next present, is that this is do need to require to beat this puzzle within, like, let's just say, under 3 minutes. So, yeah, it's not too noticeable and not too complicated, as I said earlier, so... But again, I do apologize if the actual commentary itself gets a little bit slightly iffy at points, but let's be honest here, is the fact that we're pretty much almost at the end of this Let's Play, pretty much. So, at least we actually got ourselves quite a few amounts of things we got left. To be more specifically, the rest of Extra Room, as I said, and also same applies to the forms of the final battle, and the forms of the present room we can show off, and also the option room we can show off, and potentially, if I was gonna able to play the game on my own time on story mode in Mario Party 4, I could at least try to record some footage of the likes of the credit sequence, which I was planning to do that. In fact, I might actually go do that and join at some point next week as well. So hopefully I'm also able to get my opportunities that eventually this Let's Play might be finished until then. Well, at least depending on the forms of the actual scheduled timing and what have you, but either way though, we'll find out and join at some point next week or so. So either way though, yeah, that's pretty much how that goes. So, alright, so this will place here, and I think this piece might be placed in right... Nope, that's not the right placement. There we go. Sometimes you're gonna have to pay attention to the actual visual identity when it comes to the forms of what these pieces are about to be placed. So, and most of the time, depending if you're able to actually place your puzzle piece and all that stuff though, the amount of pieces that you're able to actually potentially try to grab is actually kind of random depending on what specific puzzle piece you might get out of. So, yeah, it's not that bad, honestly. As I said, this countless amount of times already. So, anyway, wow, looks like we only got 3 pieces left, and in fact we got 2 left. Oh, actually, no wait, 3. Yeah, I think I sort of miscounted on here, which I do apologize for that. And there we go, we've beat this puzzle for under 3 minutes. So as a result, we have accomplished the forms of Jigsaw Jitters. So, yeah, pretty swell. Even though it does get a lot of, like, thinking on your brain. To able to actually just to place certain puzzle pieces in their correct spotting, spots, as you can tell. And what ranking do I get? Ah, the same ranking as the second puzzle piece challenge. Okay, that's pretty swell. Alright, so that's the forms of Jigsaw Jitters, even though that was actually a pretty cool mini-game, I have to say. So let's move on to the next one, which is Barrel Borrowing. So in this case though, find a rumbling spot and press A to dig for oil. For rumble off settings, a estimation marks will appear. So in this case though, you have to able to dig up 3 times to strike an oil. So yeah, that's just how you're able to actually deal with this minigame, is that you dig up for something, and then if you come across into an oil, then basically there you get yourselves even more points. If it goes like a pretty alright little oil value to it, like for instance that I felt a rumble, and then basically if you see that little oil that looks like this, basically it gives me 10 points. But if it's short, then basically it gives me 1. If it's a huge amount, basically it'll give me a whopping 100 points. So yeah, you can expect for this much. So in fact, it will continue that tradition when it comes to rumble mini games in the future for the Mario Party games. To be more specifically, some of them for Mario Party 5, one of them for Mario Party 6, and most of them for the likes of Mario Party 7. And I suppose that's pretty much how that goes. So even though it has been a couple of days since I actually coming back into this though, kind of thinking about it. But either way though, you're gonna have to able to actually just to notice something like this. So looks like we're not doing too bad, even though so far we only got about 131 of those oil points. So, well, actually, kind of think about it, we actually got ourselves 141 oil points that we actually did manage to obtain from. Pretty swell. Even though, thankfully though, when it comes to challenges like this, doesn't usually give you anything, it's just for bragging rights. In fact, kind of think about it though, I'll talk more about that whenever we get onto the forms of next Saturday, where in regards of the forms of the next 2 boards we can able to hop into. Oh, gas station owner as a ranking caption. Okay, that's pretty cool, I have to say. Alright, so let's move on to the next minigame, which appears to be Mushroom Medic. So in this case, we're gonna have to be the doctor for this. So try to figure out who ate the poison mushroom. The one who ate it will have a different heartbeat. So it's gonna be another one of those games that you have to require a rumble feature or something like that. And basically, if you do manage to turn your rumble on, basically you can able to feel the actual vibration if depending on the heartbeat conditions when it comes to those characters, as you can see, for Toad, Koopa, Boo, Goomba, and Shy Guy at the same time. So you're gonna have to figure out which one is the forms of the who actually got themselves the slowest heartbeat or faster, way faster heartbeat, and you're gonna have to figure out. So because of that though, it does give you a pay attention to, let's just say thinking or something, but regardless of everything else though, it can be a bit tricky if you really want to go for a high score. So even then though, I could expect this much, so... Alright, so let's place that pill on that Shy Guy over there. In fact, we actually did that pretty decently, I will must admit. So either way though, we can expect this much. So yeah, something's worth mentioning for is the fact that, usually relatively speaking, is the fact that I'm pretty sure that we only got about, I would say, 5 days left until Miitopia for the Nintendo Switch will be releasing around until 5 days time. Even though, despite the fact that Sonic has already mentioned about this already, that we're probably not going to pick up Miitopia, to be honest with you, mainly it's because, well, we're most likely focusing on Mario, Zelda, or anything else like that, because that was probably my interest. Although, sure enough though, having me series of gamings, I'm glad that these game series of me's is, excuse me, that has finally made a comeback after several of, like, some side effects when it comes to forms of, you know, has become a part of the side characters for several other games throughout the past. Mainly with the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for Mii fighters, and also say applies to using the Miis from the likes of as your profile interface from Super Mario Maker 2, and I suppose that's pretty much how I can usually describe about this, I have to be honest here. But then again though, it has been a couple of days since I actually did done a lot of commentary recently, but either way though, I do apologize for that. Hopefully by that time until at some point next weekend, that potentially speaking it might actually be, well, I'm not going to spoil things majorly for this point, so maybe that Shy Guy? I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, that's not right, because that boo over there, yeah, I somehow messed that up. And also, if you've noticed something, is the fact that, for that particular, you know, emergency alarm thing, that as you notice, on the PAL version, that it sounds a lot different than the forms of how it does it on the forms of the NTSC version, to be more specifically, both American version and the Japanese version of the game. So it does manage to able to actually offer ourselves some different sound tones to it, even though it's kind of hard to explain about this right now, just because, well, as you can tell, that I'm feeling a little bit kind of awkward today, so I do apologize for that. So, anyways, let's move on to the next minigame, Doors of Doom. This one might be interesting. Choose the left or right door and go forward. One leads to the next room, and the other, well, we'll expect to be able to find out until right now. And obviously it's going to be one of those luck-based minigames kind of thing about it. Because you only have like 50-50 chance between, you know, left or right. Or it's going to be like safe or unsafe. So, L? At least we did manage to pass one. So, I highly doubted that I won't be able to make it for this room. So, R? Ah, dang it, I got caught by Bowser and then I got chased by him. And I just only got passed through one door. So yeah, it's gonna be one of those 50-50 chances in between the two. So yeah, it's a bit of a luck-based kind of minigame. So yeah, it's not much right to hum about. You're just gonna have to choose one of those doors, and then if you somehow pass through, then you move on to the next room. Even though it does get a bit difficult as soon as you progress, mainly due to the forms of the actual luck factor to it, if you manage to either go through, or you manage to get fail the minigame due to Bowser shows up. So, Bob-Bomb X in. In fact, this to me though is probably one of my favorites though. A bunch of Bob-Bombs are walking around trying not to get caught in their explosion. So basically, he's gonna have to able to be sure to be, well, if you managed able to lift the longest. So, well, as far as I was trying to explain things clearly, that we're gonna have to able to run away from the bombs as long as possible. So because of this though, this minigame does remind me of a little bit from the likes of Love Bomber, from the likes of Mario Party 7, and also Bomb Barrage from the likes of Mario Party 9, except rather than just trying to utilize the forms of conveyor belts from 7, and especially noticeable with the forms of the actual water rafting from the likes of Mario Party 9. So, although keep this in mind is the fact that this particular environment does remind me of something. It kind of reminds me of, well, let's just say a Scrapple Crossing in Journey Forms of Tokyo. Because even then though, that we actually got ourselves a lot of zebra crossings, but except the fact that it actually contains a whole bunch of Bob-Bombs that are trying to explode you. So either way though, you could expect this much. So, in fact, honestly, as far as I'm aware, is the fact that this minigame is probably one of my favorites in terms of the one-player, single-player minigames. Because as far as I'm aware, it's already gets the later times, to be more specifically like 1 minute, it gets a bit crazy. Because otherwise, every now and then, is the fact that those bob-ombs were able to actually now trying to go ahead and try to chase after you. And eventually at some point or another, they try to block you at the same time, which even then though, you got to be very cautious and think carefully until you're able to avoid, you know, explosions of those bob-ombs basically. So, yeah, this is actually kind of fun though, especially it gets a bit chaotic at points, especially noticeable that, you know, I've already mentioned about this already, that if you get crowded, or especially noticeable if you get trapped, then you're basically gonna get screwed, and then if you dare touch the explosion, the game is pretty much over. So, yeah, actually I do like this one. I kinda wish that this minigame will make a comeback in the top 100, but nope, that does not look like it's gonna be the case at all. So, oh well, no big deal, not the end of the world, but either way though, it knows what happened, so... Oh jeez, this is gonna get insane! Especially noticeable they now spread up in the forms of a lot of bombs and all that stuff. Oh jeez, I'm gonna have to concentrate for this point right here, so yeah, this seems kind of interesting to say the least, but hey. Oh jeez, okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay attention to the forms of some of these bob-ombs will flashing, you know, continuously, constantly flashes red. Because otherwise, if it starts flashes red, this means it's going to explode. So, yeah, you probably get the idea. And in fact, this minigame also reminds me of one of those minigames from Mario Party 5, which appears to be Dodge Bomb, except rather than picking up the bob-ombs in here, because we're actually running away from it. So, yeah, that's something worth noting for some of these similarities when it comes to bob-omb survival kind of games like this in the future Mario Party games for sure. Well, at least one exception by the forms of Mario Party 7, because one player can deal with a lot of bob-omb loaded, and also the other three is trying to avoid— Oh, dang it! I did not see that, but at least we, survived for about 3 minutes and 4 seconds and 10 milliseconds, so it's a pretty good run. Even though the longest run out of the bunch though, it was the maximum of 10 minutes. So, can I possibly do 10 minutes on my own time? It's not possible. It is not possible to able to actually make it for 10 minutes or so. But at least we got ourselves Speedy Stroller as a ranking anyway. So, I do appreciate it for that rank. And I believe we only got one more minigame left in terms of this particular mode, and that is Goomba Stomp. And this seems kind of interesting to say the least. So get in the robot and stomp on as many Goombas as you can within a time limit. So remember the forms of tree stomp from the likes of the 1 vs 3 minigame? That one time you have to take control of the robot? Well, you're gonna able to do it in here, except now that you're on your own. And also to top it off, rather than just trying to aim for a single player, so instead we need to able to actually stop as many Goombas as possible. So, and I believe this is another one of those unlockable minigames in order to able to play this, and to unlock this minigame is by simply you're gonna have to able to play Tree Stomp for the first time. So yeah, that's all there is to say. So either way though, this is pretty simple, and it feels a bit, you know, kind of there, and basically all you have to do is basically just, you know, just trying to able to stomp on quite a few amounts of Goombas as possible, and that's about it. And I've stomped about 34 Goombas, so that's pretty good for that amount. And I think, suffice to say, I think that pretty much takes care of this particular mode. Even though, mind you, that we still have not completely done with extra room as it is, so... Anyway, so let's see what ranking I do get from this is Pitter, Platter, Pounder. Okay, that seems very obvious standard stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much about it in terms of the single-player minigame. So, pretty cool. The biggest highlight for me, though, is the Bob-omb extend, because it is so fun. So yeah, so let's move on to the next mode.